Congratulations, Lou, on being part of Easter Sunday, which is a very important movie for all Filipino Americans and other ethnicities. So talk about the significance of this movie for you.
I think we've come to a place, in Hollywood where there is more of an open mind toward cultural stories, toward stories that are not your typically what they would call all American stories. I think finally, all American stories are finally representing all Americans, and not just the ones of Caucasian descent. And for me, I've always been that guy, that thankfully crossed over, being the ethnic guy in Young Guns, being sort of the only ethnic member of the Brat Pack, being able to represent so many communities, the Latinx community, the Native American community, finally the Asian community when I was on Broadway. But I've been trying to represent for a very, very long time. One of my early films was one that I wrote called Ambition, where I wrote the character as a Filipino American. And so I was trying to bring awareness of that and an inclusion of that, in my body of work. What I'm thrilled about is that we've made, I think, major strides in the last, I don't know, 5-8 years or whatever, where I think we have allowed films like Moonlight or Minari, films that would have been called niche before, to not only be made, but be accepted and to be shown to be successful. And that is the important thing. And throughout the years, we've always had the breakthrough films. We had La Bamba and Stand and Deliver back to back for me, which, everyone thought was the beginning of a Latino wave that never really, materialized. We had Joy Luck Club, and now Janet Yang is president of the Academy. I'm thrilled. So we're seeing these milestones along the way, these little breakthroughs, and what we need is for them to happen more often and to become more a part of the zeitgeist as opposed to outliers.
Mm-hmm. And how was it working with Jo Koy? Is this your first time working with him?
Yeah, I love Joe. I adore Joe. I'm pretty sure it was him that thought to put me in this movie. I've known Joe for a little while. I was a huge fan of his when he was part of the regular roundtable on the Chelsea Handler Show. And we met on an airplane a number of years ago, and he was so kind to my daughter Indigo. So I was so pleased to see that, with Joe, what you see is what you get. He is that warm, generous, magnanimous, effervescent person, and it was very important that I find a way to be in this movie. I mean, because who else is going to play Lou Diamond Phillips? But I mean, it was problematic. I quarantined for 2 weeks to do 2 days worth of work. So it was like, wow, okay, I'm gonna sit all by myself and have them drop the food off at my door, and I could hear people in the hall, I could hear Joe and I could hear like Lydia. Lydia went to Granville Island Market for me and brought back mangoes and left them on my doorstep, it was just crazy.
So among the cast members, who did you bond and who were you surprised with?
Quite honestly, I mean, Tia and I have been friends forever. Tia and I both went to the Philippines in 2004. We were part of a group called Assembly for Justice that Fritz Friedman, the senior vice president of worldwide marketing for Sony at one time, had formed. And, myself, Tia, Rob Schneider, and Dean Devlin, all put together a video to get the benefits back and the veteran status for Filipino war veterans after World War II. And I went with Fritz and testified before a House Senate subcommittee on Veterans Affairs. And so, T and I had dozens of dinners together. First time we've ever actually worked together, which is wonderful. You know, Rodney Toe, I had known, you know, off and on for a long time. Never got to know him well. Really got to know him on this, and I adore him. I think that man is hilarious, and I've been a fan of his for a very, very long time. And Lydia Gaston and I were in The King and I together. She was one of my royal wives in the 1996 to 97 Tony winning production. So, you know, it was wonderful to see her. What's fun is, you know, seeing people like Eugene Cordero break through, you know, just amazing, just wonderful. You know, and little Eva, you know, I mean, God, what a star she is, you know, Tony nominated and everything, and Brandon. So to see that there are more of us now, and, you know, Joe was able to get us all under one roof, and I love what he had to say about the audition process. There were so many good people that didn't get the job, which means there are tons of, you know, Filipino American actors out there that, and by actor I mean both male and female, that, you know, that have talent, and that hopefully their time is going to come, and this hopefully the success of this will enable more opportunities.
Yes. And is this your first time to work in a Steven Spielberg movie? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, I don't know. You know, I was one of the background velociraptors in one of the, in the Jurassic Park. You know, I was also a ET stand-in. Okay, that's just silly. Yeah, no, this is my first time in a Steven Spielberg film, so I'm very honored, and I'm very proud. And Steven, please, Steven, see me, Steven.
So tell us how you got involved in this movie. Did Steven call you?
No. It was I mean, they went the classic route. You know, nobody called me up personally. You know, they called my agent April Lim, and, you know, said that this role had been written specifically for me. They sent me some early drafts of the scenes, not the whole script, but just the scenes that involved Blue Diamond Phillips. And, you know, I thought it was incredibly funny. You know, there were some jokes where I was like bagging on, you know, some other actors where it's like, I don't really do that in real life. I'm not going to say anything bad about, you know, any of my co-stars or you know, people that I know. So we adjusted that. And then it was just a matter of working out the logistics, you know, because fortunately for me, I'm fairly busy, and this was going to be, you know, 3 weeks between travel, quarantine, and the actual filming, and the wardrobe fittings and all the other stuff. You know, it was going to be, you know, 3 weeks of time for, you know, 5 minutes of screen time. So we had to work some stuff out. So fortunately, thank goodness, they did, and they treated me with a great deal of respect and warmth, and I was very, very gratified for that.
And in the Q&A, when we had the Q&A, I was struck when you said that the Hollywood executives didn't know that you were Filipino, that you were Latino or Indian.
Yeah, no, there's some to this day. There's some to this day that don't know. At that gold open screening, there's a Filipino lady, God love her, that, you know, was working the event, and I think she's associated with one of the organizations that was involved, you know, and she literally said, I didn't know you were Filipino. I thought, you're a Filipino and you didn't know I was a Filipino? You know, I've not hidden it for 30 years. It's been out there. You know, I've never pretended to be something that I'm not, other than, you know, portraying that role on TV or in film. But it's literally in the press from the time of La Bamba. You know, Luis Valdez made a big deal out of me being of mixed heritage and being Filipino, and the fact that, you know, the second largest contingent of farm workers in California is Filipino, you know, and I marched with Cesar Chavez and did that sort of thing. So it always surprises me when people have certain assumptions, you know.
And one of your upcoming projects is directing The Cleaning Lady. Talk about that.
I can't talk about that just yet. Yes, so yes, I'm directing a lot. I just directed an All Rise. Earlier this year, I directed a Bull. they've asked me not to release the fact that I'm directing it because I think they're going to make an announcement. I'm literally prepping this week. So, but having been on it and being a part of that show, once again, this is a marker that the consciousness of Filipino stories and Filipino performers and their contributions is very much, I think, entering the zeitgeist. You know, the fact that there are, you know, Filipino actors on that show, Cambodian, French actors. You know, Elodie is Cambodian and French, married into a Filipino family. So, you know, the fact that this is what the show revolves around is massive. You know, what I can say, and what I'm really proud of, is that they're starting to come to me to direct shows with a great deal of diversity. All Rise has an amazing amount of diversity. Cleaning Lady has an amazing amount of diversity. I'm doing another show in October, another television show, Asian cast. You know, so I think they recognize that I was one of the ones waving the banner from way back when, and that whenever I've been able to make a difference behind the camera, I've done so. You know, whether it's when I wrote Ambition or when I directed Sioux City, or when I direct for television certain roles, I will make the request of the producers and the casting director and go, okay, this character is just nondescript. Show me everyone. Show me everyone so that the best actor will get the part, you know? And I think that's important because they have their go-to list, and these are the people that they usually just, you know, go to. And it's like, let's give some other people a chance, you know?
What are the challenges of being behind the cameras compared to being the actor?
Well, actors can be myopic. You know, we have tunnel vision. You know, we're focused on just our one role, and so you can get a little self-centered because it's all about you. What I love about directing is the big picture. You know, I love translating the story, and it always starts with the story. It starts with the script, making sure that script is solid, that it all makes sense, that it supports the characters and the story, but then translating that to a visual medium. You know, to me, what you're looking at is quite often a metaphor for what's going on, you know, in the story. So how do you shoot it? How do you light it? I love working with the director of photography on that. But I mean, just all of the little, you know, decisions that you make, from set dressing to hair and makeup to wardrobe, all of it makes a difference, and none of it is random. You know, not if you're trying to make a complete picture. And that's why I started directing television more, because honestly, the budgets they have for an episode of television is bigger than anything I ever had as an independent filmmaker, you know? So I literally, like last week, so can I have a crane? Can I have a Steadicam? You know, and they have all of that stuff. So you got all the toys, and you have an army of people who are professionals, who are really good at what they do. And that's what I love to do is you know, I don't micromanage. I try to create an atmosphere where people are contributing their best, where I'm inspiring them to be creative and to not just do the typical, and, you know, love getting the ideas from everybody. And then at the end of the day, you know, turning that into being the general of an army, you know, and you have a finite amount of time and a finite amount of money to complete it. And so the logistics of it, you know, I think really it makes me very happy to be able to make that happen. You know, it's funny because when I do cooking shows, you know, as a cook, my mother was, you know, when I was on Chopped, she was, look, Diamond, the clock is not your friend. Because, you know, she knows I love to cook slowly, have fun, but it's the same thing here, man. It's like you got to keep an eye on the clock, and you got to get everything into the oven at the same time, and then, you know, it's got to come out and taste good.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk more about how this creator, Miranda of The Cleaning Lady, is stopping Filipino filmmakers like you and Maria Mora?
Yeah, I'm going to see her today. We're going to go see Easter Sunday together, along with Martha Milan, who's also, you know, Filipina, but she's Australian. So I think there's a few Filipinos in the cast going to see Easter Sunday today, which is hilarious. Once again, and I've said this time and time and time again, it's not just, putting faces in front of the camera so that America sees them. It's a big deal. That's a big deal. We're seeing it in commercials, we're seeing it in television, we're starting to see it a little bit more in films. Although I point out that Jason Momoa was the only dark person in all of Atlantis. Everybody else was white. It's like, what she's doing. And those are the kind of people that we need. Those are the kind of people who are allowing the ceiling to be moved and to allow people to rise. Young writers, young directors, not that I'm young, but people that have the ability but haven't continued as much. I was also very proud, to be a part of the executive committee of the Academy for 9 years. I actually termed out, where we had Aperture 2020, and we achieved all those goals. Getting equity and parity for females, in the Academy, for being more inclusive, not just nationally, and the actors of color who have gone unrecognized, but internationally, because it films in international language, and I know that we've invited a lot of people, like the cast of Parasite, or all of these other films. They're foreign films. I'm glad we changed that to foreign foreign language films. So we are now hopefully moving toward a more accurate representation.
Can you give me an estimate of how many movies or films or TV shows have you directed?
That I've directed? Wow.
Yes.
I've directed like 4 or 5 independent films. I'm probably getting up into the mid-teens on television, episodes. I'm doing 4 just this year. And, before that, I did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Fear the Walking Dead and Longmire and Prodigal Son. So there's another 4. So there's 8 alone. I started with my first television show that I directed back in the 90s. I did both episodes of The Outer Limits and Twilight Zone. And then also an episode of Resurrection Boulevard. So yeah, I'm about a dozen, a dozen, 13 baker's dozen or something of television shows, with more coming. And I'm currently attached to direct 2 independent films that hopefully will find their money, sometime soon. One set in Argentina. And then I've said it a dozen times, hoping that my words are going to fall on the right ears at some point. But I've been trying for a very, very long time to do a film on my friend Brandon Lee. And his best friend Bill Allen and I co-wrote the screenplay, and I'll direct it. And everybody's loved the script. They just it's going to make enough money and all that. That's the side of Hollywood that I just don't get.
So talk about being a playwright.
My play, Burning Desire, got produced at the Seven Angels Theater in Connecticut, and I hope to one day see that go to off-Broadway. But yeah, recently, about a year and a half ago, my first novel got published. And I always have to give credit where credit is due. It was my wife's idea. When we first met, she's an incredible illustrator. And she was going to do an anime version. And by the way, this is in the 90s. So my wife is such a nerd, and she's so cool that she was into anime before it really came to, North America. So, she would have to go to the bookstores and get the anime, books and the manga books. So she had done some panels to kind of turn Hans Christian Andersen's The Tinderbox into a graphic novel. And I thought, these are amazing. These are fantastic. This is a movie. And because she had done it, in the manga style, I thought of Star Wars. And so I wrote the screenplay, set it in space, because space, was, the Avatar and Star Wars and all of those, still very popular. And when I finished the screenplay, I thought, this is so expensive. Nobody's going to give me the money to do this, So talked to her about it, talked to my manager about it. But you know what? Let's write the book. I wrote books in college. I always wanted to get back to it. So I wrote the novel. Took 10 years, off and on. Author Craig Johnson, the Longmire author, was so helpful to me. He so encouraging. Chris Bojelian, a best-selling author of The Flight Attendant, is a dear friend, and he gave me such wonderful advice. So that book finally got published. It's done very well. It's like out of like 650 reviews, 4.5 stars, out of 5, and it's sold very, very well. And now it's being shopped, and I think now it's a miniseries, not a feature anymore. And I'm currently working on editing the second book. So I wrote a sequel to it, so that should be coming out in a year or so. But in the first book, Yvonne did 30 illustrations that are just beautiful. They're just fantastic. So in the paperback and the hardcover, you can see Yvonne's illustrations, and she did the cover design. So that's been a dream come true, and it's something that I'm doing more of these days. Is writing, which I love.
What's the title again of the book?
It's called The Tinderbox, just like the Hans Christian Andersen The Tinderbox, but this one has a subtitle: The Tinderbox, Soldier of Indira. And it's Romeo and Juliet. It's a very sort of sci fantasy extrapolation of Hans's short story, which was only like 5 pages long. But read that first and see how I took a lot of the stuff that he did and turned it into this much longer narrative. And yeah, it becomes this Romeo and Juliet, this war of the worlds kind of thing between two different cultures. So it takes an opportunity to air out some of my observations and my philosophies on the state of the world. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us.